morning, sunshine. I'm glad if I am a ray of sunshine, and thank you for those nice words. I actually go into my children's room singing every morning, and Good Morning Starshine's one of the ones I typically do. Those of you that have a few years on you like I do may remember the rock opera Hair. I had the privilege of singing it on Broadway during a revival, and Good Morning Starshine is, of course, one of the amazing songs from that. Okay, let's get started. Hello, some of you are new. There's a whole lot of you this morning. We're going to do our best to honor our usual time parameters. I know your time is really important. I am the founding attorney of Rock Solid Law over 30 years ago. It was founded actually here in beautiful downtown Ponte Vedra Beach. We have been a beaches firm since 1991, and we specialize in 3 areas. And really, what we're going to talk about today is important in at least 2, and I would argue all 3 of those areas. Of course, I grew up as a business litigator, and I transitioned that into a business transactional practice, which means we are well-versed in contracts and the needs of owners of small businesses. I believe that small business is the heartbeat of the American economy, and we keep our small businesses strong. I will tell you that of the many businesses we represent, only 1 or 2 failed during the first 2 years of the pandemic, and I'm really proud of that. I believe that having a solid legal team keeps our businesses from allowing one contract to ruin their entire business plan if it goes bad. But more than that, we help people grow and prosper their businesses, and I just love being a part of that. In the 90s, when I began representing smaller businesses after I'd moved out to the beach, I realized that I could not serve my business owner clientele properly without also knowing them personally. And the attorney and counselor, I love the counseling side, and that led directly into the estate planning aspect of our practice. And I believe that the American family is the core of these beautiful United States of America, and we love to do multi-generation planning with families to keep those families strong and keep our country strong. And then finally, I am a strong believer in the American dream. We were the first country in the world to allow for private home ownership for common people, and I continue to believe that that first home purchase is the building block of the American dream. We are privileged to see it here all the time. Love closings, and especially love closings with a first-time home buyer. It's just a really special event. So, as you know, today we're going to talk about homestead and its many aspects. I have done webinars in the past on the specific areas of homestead. So if there is an area that you wish that this was a deeper dive into, go to Rock Solid Law /webinars, and you will write us and tell us you're not a robot or one of those naughty people, and we will give you a key to getting onto that site. All the education there is free, and you can bone up on many, many subjects like homestead, portability. All sorts of different real estate, estate planning, and business law subjects are there from all the webinars that I've taught over the last several years since we really started Zooming in earnest. So homestead is really special in Florida. I am a Florida lawyer. I'm barred in Florida and the District of Columbia, and that's it. The people I serve are Floridians. They're either old Floridians like me or brand new Floridians. And those of you that live here know, I see there's some realtors online, delighted to have you. You guys know that, that we are seeing more and more Floridians. People took this pandemic as the sign that they should finally move to the Sunshine State. I first moved here in 1965. I am not a native, but I call myself a semi-native. My baby brother is a native, although he's had the bad form. No offense to the great state of Ohio, but to fall in love with and live in Ohio for his entire adult life. So I've been in Florida well over half of my life. We're not going to discuss the math, the numbers on that, but a long, long time in my entire law practice, save for third year practice in Virginia while I was in law school, has been in Florida. And homestead is one of those things that is really, really special to us. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about why in the next 20 minutes or so. I think I can get through this in time to have time for a few questions. If I don't have time for a burning question that you have, please write us at questions@rocksolidlaw. Give you a second to write that down. questions@rocksolidlaw. And that will get to me and I can answer your question about homestead or some other area of the law. Speaking of which, I'm pleased to announce that this morning we've got a great crowd. I am initiating another opportunity for questions. We're going to start this next month. Each month, I'm going to have an open sip and chat. What does that mean? That means at happy hour one day at 5 o'clock, I'm going to have a glass of wine, disclaim the giving of legal advice, which I think is appropriate for every lawyer after they've had the first drink, and discuss anything with regard to the law that's on your mind for the next hour each month from here on out. So look out for that announcement. You will get an email announcing when that happens. Sorry, just remember that we've just decided to do that. I'm really excited about it because it's going to tell me what's on your mind. So I know this morning there's a whole bunch of you, and what's on your mind is homestead. So listen, homestead is a confusing term. You know, the English language is a very convoluted and confusing language. And homestead is one of those things. And under Florida law, we have at least 3 primary definitions, which often lead to confusion. There's actually a fourth one under the law that is so outside the, thank you. I got a yippee for the sip and chat. That is so outside of the usual experience with homestead that we don't even talk about that one during this webinar. And so historically, how did we get homestead? Well, I have a theory that I cannot prove right, and I don't think anybody can prove wrong. But that is, most of you know that at one point in time, Ireland let out its debtors prisoners. A whole bunch of them went to Australia, and a whole bunch of them came to in and around Savannah, Georgia, our immediate north neighbor. Well, my theory is that those people who had been in debtors prison and who came to Georgia and could not make it there all turned around and came south to Florida. And since they were very interested in being debtors and weren't very good at paying their creditors, they came up with this fabulous idea of protecting their homes from any creditors. All right. And so I say that's where homestead came from. Probably fiction, but I've given it a lot of thought. The real story is homestead in Florida was granted to provide 2 important protections to settlers in the Civil War era and afterward. Now think about that. We're going back well over 100 years. What's that, about 140 years now? The Civil War. Why did we want people to come to Florida? At that point in time, remember, we were before functioning electricity and way before functioning air conditioning, right? So to come to Florida in the 1860s, you were basically coming to a mosquito and alligator-ridden swamp, right? Sounds lovely, right? Well, there are a whole bunch of us guys that thought, yeah, let's go, let's do this. And a lot of their wives were like, heck no, you're going to go down there with me and the babies, and you're going to bet everything we have on this, fill in the blank, orange grove, timber, mining, farming. There were all those Florida cattle running wild at that point that could be rodeoed, or not rodeoed, but driven to market. And so these guys, and I'm going to pick on us guys, these guys thought that's a great idea. What an opportunity. Well, good for them, because a lot of them are our old Florida families. But the wives were like, I'm not doing that. So Florida's response, and we were a territory at the time, was, okay, look, here's the deal. You might lose everything, but we're not going to let you lose your home. So when Daddy John fails at his entrepreneurial business venture, well, the wife and children would have a place to live while he rebuilt their economic life. So that's the real story of where Homestead came from. And I think that's pretty darn interesting, because think about Florida in those days, and it was not a place people wanted to come. I mean, there were stories of the Spanish settlers burying themselves up to the neck in sand just not to get bitten by our mosquitoes. That was something that they really knew nothing about until they landed on our shores. So the first area of Homestead is to prevent the forced sale by creditors of your property. There you go, except for the revenue man, the tax man, right? And anybody you give a lien, like a mortgage or someone who does construction on your home. No one can collect against your home or force you to sell it to pay them any debt. All right, got that? And second, to provide the surviving spouse, here's what I was talking about, usually the wife and family, with shelter and a place to live, right? So a lot of these ventures were things that cost some men their lives. They wanted to make sure that mom and the kids had a place to live, and mom for the rest of her life, without anybody being able to take that away from her. All right, so this was, as I mentioned, to encourage the pioneers to stake their claim in Florida, which became a state. You guys probably have this right at your fingertips, right? I don't remember it. In 1845, as I mentioned in the days before, electricity and air conditioning. If the head of the household failed, at least the family would have a home. Now, this was then codified by the U.S. Congress, right? The U.S. Congress in the Florida Homestead Act of 1862. Historians right around the Civil War era. So Florida's love affair with Homestead was further codified when Section 7 was added to Article 10 of our Florida Constitution on November 6, 1934. Now, this is important, guys. It's part of our very Constitution, all right? So it's not, in all likelihood, ever going to be taken away. I just can't imagine a politician proposing a constitutional amendment to take away Homestead. That would be about the most unpopular thing ever proposed in Tallahassee. In fact, the Supreme Court of Florida considers the grant of Homestead in Florida to be, and I quote, the greatest benevolence ever shown by the people of any state toward the exemption of Homestead from taxation. All right. And we're going to get into the taxation aspect as the third part that we're talking about. Now, a benevolence. I don't know if you use benevolence in everyday language. I understand the term, but I looked it up, and it is an act of kindness or a generous gift. It implies kindness, goodwill, and generosity. So the most commonly understood definition of homestead is I've got homestead on my house, and therefore I get to pay taxes on the value of my house minus $25,000. And if I'm married, minus $50,000, 25 each, right? So that is $50,000 every year on which every Florida resident who has declared homestead does not pay taxes. And that is what our Supreme Court called the greatest benevolence. All right. Check this out. Homestead means that property cannot be transferred without both spouses signing. I began practicing law in 1984. I don't have any idea how many times I've been asked, but it's a lot. How many times have I been asked, hey, it's okay, I'll just sign for her. She wants me to do it. Or my husband really wants to transfer this as well, and he's out of town on business. I'll sign for both of us. No way at all, right? There is a possibility to cover those instances, particularly when someone's in the United States Armed Forces. Thank you for your service. To execute a proper special power of attorney for the transfer of that property so that one spouse or any other person can sign for you. But no, a spouse can't sign for their other spouse. Can you imagine in a country where the divorce rate is north of 50%, what kind of causes that, what kind of problems that could cause? What kind of causes that good problem. I'm on a roll this morning. Got it. You cannot sign, and neither can anybody else, for their spouse. And people want to argue me blue in the face, but she wants me to. But I don't care. Let me tell you, in the 90s, this is a 30-year-old story. I had a guy come to my office with his wife's ID and a woman that looked a whole lot like her. You following? They were trying to commit fraud, and they were trying to make us a party to that fraud. We caught them. We said no. We sent them away. All right. Some of this is repetitive. I know we like to hear things several times. They teach us, and I used to be a trial lawyer, that you got to tell a jury the same thing at least 3 times for them to get it. So let's go back over them. Homestead in Florida has several meanings. Exemption from forced sale. Nobody except somebody you allowed to or the government can force the sale of your home. You don't pay the IRS, they're coming after you. You don't pay your mortgage, they're coming after you. Somebody does work on your house, they have what's called a construction or mechanics lien, they can collect against the house because their work's in the house. It makes sense, right? Everybody else, no. All right. So, 2, a restriction on transfer and devise. What? That means you cannot transfer it or give it away without the joinder of the spouse. That protects both of the people who own it, because in Florida, when you get married, your spouse just became an owner of what you thought was your property solely. Got it? They have a legal interest to at least inhabit that residence until death or until they take some action transferring it. And then again, the property tax exemption I just went over, which, by the way, I'll throw this tidbit in. It's March 31st. If you have not filed for your homestead tax exemption, you need to get that in, or you're going to have to wait a whole nother year. Don't do that. Remember, it's a great benevolence, the greatest benevolence. It saves you money. One of my mottos here at Rock Solid Law and Title is, we want you to pay the mandatory taxes to the revenue man, but no voluntary ones. And if you do not get your homestead, and I have been shocked by the intelligent people, the very successful people who just haven't been bothered to file for homestead and save the tax on $50,000 a year. All right. Make sure you do it. Make sure all your friends and family do it. Okay. So, exemption from forced sale. We're going to hit each of them quickly. I know I'm going a little long this morning, but hang with me if you can. The exemption for forced sale protects the Florida homeowner's primary residence. It's only primary residence, folks. This is only homestead. You buy an investment condo, that's no different than anything else unless you come to us and we talk about asset protection, which is also a good idea. Hey, just to point it out, not to take your attention away from me, but I've just noticed that one of my team has jumped on and made a special offer to those of you that are on this webinar today only. And believe it or not, there were a few people that signed up that aren't with us today. Sorry about y'all, but check out that offer. I think it's for, we're giving away a free consult. Good. I hope to meet you face to face. Make sure and mention the title of this webinar when you do. All right. So, for example, if a court enters a money judgment against a Florida homeowner, I don't know, you just borrowed some money and couldn't pay it back, or you had an argument over the value of it, and then the court decided you were wrong, entered a judgment against you, okay? That's called a money judgment. That judgment creditor will not be able to satisfy its judgment with the person's homestead. Got it? The protection is extremely strong and has worked under many dubious circumstances. Do we need to talk about O.J. Simpson moving to Florida and buying a mansion, or some of the people that have that bought places very near to here to protect themselves when they knew a civil judgment was likely on the horizon? Though rare exceptions, I've mentioned these, include recovery against the homestead for unpaid property taxes, got to pay your taxes, defaulted mortgage debt, and unpaid obligations contracted for labor performed on the property. You hire somebody to work on your house. If you get into a dispute with them, you need to get a lawyer to assist you, and I would be happy to refer you to one to make sure you take all the right steps so that person doesn't end up foreclosing on your house. The exemption from forced sale not only protects the homeowner, but it also allows his or her heirs to inherit the property free of the homeowner's creditors. How about that? Taking care of the kids. All right. As I mentioned, the restriction on transfer is the least known, and this restriction prevents a Florida homeowner from transferring his or her homestead property without joinder or waiver of a spouse. In addition, absent a waiver, the property must pass to the homeowner's surviving spouse following death. So many times we're asked for a closing. Oh, my wife doesn't want to come. She's got a tennis match. My husband's going to be playing golf. We're in Ponte, Vedra, really, it's just they don't feel like coming. I can't be bothered, right? Do they have to come to closing? Yes, we need them to sign on. We need them to sign on, okay? Oh, great, Beth. I look forward to talking to you soon. I'll make sure my team jumps on that. There's also a restriction on devise. That means how you can handle the property for a Florida homeowner who dies survived by one or more minor children. It's not hard to see what the legislature had in mind there. We're not going to kick the kids to the curb. If you're survived by minor children, they get the house. We're going to have those kids have a place to live. A lot easier to find somebody to take care of and be guardian of your children if they know they're going to get a house in the deal, right? Just kidding. But if the kids actually have control of their place to live, man, that opens up the universe to people who might be willing to help them. Let's see. These restrictions are designed to protect, everybody's favorite, widows and orphans. Every politician wants to protect the widows and orphans, right? And so there is a very good chance that they are going to be protected every time. But are often a trap for the unwary when it comes to estate planning and pose difficulties when dealing with homestead property during the administration of a decedent's estate. What did I just say? It's really important that your estate planning lawyer know about homestead and understand real property law so they can properly do your wishes with respect to your homestead property. You are so welcome. Thanks for joining us. I know I'm running a minute over. I'm going to try to wrap this pretty soon. Glad you were here. Okay, so I told you this was going to cross over from real estate practice of law into the estate planning practice of law. People ask me all the time, why do you do these three things, right? Because if there's someone that owns a small business, there's going to be real property, either personal or commercial, in their lives. And they've got to take care of their estate. Everybody needs to. You guys know this stuff. Everybody needs at least a will. Most of my clients need at least a simple trust, if not a more complex one. And there are tons of reasons for that. And that's not today's subject, but isn't it fascinating? Right there's where it is, the crossover. If you don't have a lawyer who knows both areas, taking care of your estate, then they're probably not going to be able to properly help you. Okay, so why does this come up? Because one sells or mortgages without the other ever knowing. We've seen multiple attempts, and sometimes successfully, a person will defraud a mortgage company, and they will put a lien, borrow money against, and have a lien against a property without the other spouse ever knowing it. Of course, we've had the argument, I didn't know what I was signing, which may or may not be truthful. I see some questions coming in. That's cool. I'm rounding toward the end of my notes. I will do everything I can to take a few of those questions within the time I have this morning. So hang tight just a minute. So I'm going to drill a little bit deep on the property tax exemption. Quick swig of kombucha. funny aside, I love to have coffee at Bold Bean, and they serve their kombucha, which is on draft, in beer glasses. And I've got some funny looks from some of my business neighbors some mornings when I'm having a kombucha instead of a coffee. I'll own it. Perhaps most important to Florida homeowners is the property tax exemption and related Save Our Homes law. All right. So constitutional property tax exemption provides that the first $25,000 of a Florida homestead is exempt from all property taxes. By the way, there are all sorts of other exemptions for veterans and such. So if you think that you may be entitled to more of them, you need to see a lawyer who knows this stuff like we do, and make sure that you're saving all the taxes you can. An additional exemption of up to $25,000 applies if the home is worth at least $50,000. However, the second exemption only applies to non-school taxes. The Save Our Homes law cap begins when the county grants the initial exemptions, which you have to apply for, and caps the increase in the assessed value of the homestead property. Wow, this is a huge one for us. To the lesser of the rate of inflation, or 3% per year. In recent years, it's been the rate of inflation. With inflation starting to click up, we may see the 3%. But you get that? The value of your home in Florida, your home only, can only go up 3% per year. You know what the market's done the last few years. It's way above that, right? Way above that. So that is huge. And why? Because we want to keep seniors in their homes. We want to allow people to age. We want Floridians to be able to keep their homes and enjoy the life that they have created here. Historically, the appreciation of property in rapidly growing Florida has outpaced the Save Our Homes cap, right? And has created significant property tax savings for longtime homeowners. In addition, if a homeowner moves residences, this is another point that is related, but not exactly homestead, because it is only for homesteads, but stays in Florida. You move from one house in Florida, you're downsizing, you're upsizing, whatever, up to $500,000 of Save Our Homes cap may be ported to the new property. There is portability. There are portability webinars at Rock Solid Law /webinars. I don't have the ability to go through that fully today, but you can check that out there. I'll teach portability again in the near future. Homestead issues can be difficult to navigate. Candidly, those with questions should contact a firm with attorneys who specialize in both real property and estate planning, like we do. So I'm going to try to hit some of these questions really quickly, because I'm over time today. If I don't get to your question, write me at questions@rocksolidlaw.com, and we will get you a specific response, or better yet, take advantage of our offer for being on this and schedule an hour appointment with us. And that's at no charge to you. Okay. We can answer specific questions then. All right. Reading glasses on. That is a beautiful question. I think you've answered this before, but I probably didn't hear it 3 times. If your child is a minor and the only beneficiary to the homestead exemption stay with the house in the event of death, yes. Yes, it does. The homestead provides that that house is that child's, and as long as it is the primary residence, year after year, that homestead exemption will stay in effect. You are very welcome to Brenda, who said, thank you. Let me just make a note here for myself. Are there any attempts to increase the take-up rates for claiming exemptions in lower income neighborhoods? Joanne, I apologize, but I am not familiar with the take-up rates term. Perhaps that is just something that I've missed. Let's see, attempts to increase the rates for climate exemptions. I'm sorry that I don't know. Will you please reframe that question and send it to me at questions@rocksolidlaw? I want to get you an answer, but specifically what you meant by that. Oh, thank you. This is wonderful. Don't worry about the time. Yeah, I'm not too good. I always say my team's hardest job is keeping me on time because I get interested in stuff and go over. Oh, good. I've got a realtor who says she's learned several new things. I always say I've got to learn at least one new thing every day or it's not a successful day. Excellent. Thank you. Thank you. Do seniors get an extra exemption? Probably so. There is another webinar at videos which goes over the exemptions specifically. And I did not bone up on that today, but my recollection is the answer is yes. Go find that webinar and it will tell you all the exemptions that are available. All the exemptions are available. Okay, people apply for the exemption. I'm unfamiliar. Okay, so Joanne, I've got two Joannes I'm talking to, but Joanne, who asked the take-up rate question, I think the question involves trying to get more people in more socioeconomically depressed neighborhoods to sign up for Homestead. And I don't know the answer to that. I really don't. I have not heard of an attempt to get those people educated. Obviously, this webinar is for the whole world. Joanne, if you know a way that we can disseminate it to people who would benefit, have at it. This is available to anybody who wants to know. And then I see that another question about the seniors. I believe so. And if you want to send that one into questions, Joanne, I will double back and confirm what I remember to be true. So guys, I'm less than 10 minutes over, which is a success in my book. I am so stoked that you joined us this morning. I would like to say, I hope this is informative, but from the way you have been responsive, I feel like it really has been. Follow up and with those questions and I will confirm them. Again, the offer is for any of you on this live webinar this morning, we will do a free consultation with you to talk about whatever you want. Real estate questions regarding homestead, your estate planning, your homestead with respect to your estate planning, or if you happen to be a business owner and wanted to have a consultation about that subject, I would be glad to talk to you about that as well. I am so excited about how many of you wanted to be with us. Watch out for the webinar we'll be doing next month. Watch out for the announcement of the first Sip and Chat. You get to buy yourself your own drink from your own pantry or refrigerator, and I will have some beverage of my own choice here, and we'll have an enjoyable time. This is a new experiment for us. I hope that the community would look forward to enjoying it. Listen, I founded Rock Solid Law here at the beaches 31 years ago. And of course, we have morphed into Rock Solid Law and Title. We just love the closing celebration and experience. We love helping families preserve their wealth and take care of the generations that come after them. And by the way, estate planning is really about taking care of yourself. So that's a big piece of what we work on with them. And entrepreneurial business owners are in my heart and my mind, and I just love working with them as well. I hope you guys will go out, enjoy a windy day, and should the wind blow our paths to cross in the near future, I will look very much forward to that. From my old hometown of Tuskegee, Alabama, I will leave you with our theme song, Zoom, from the Commodores. Everybody have a great day. This is John Miller, founding attorney, Rock Solid Law and Title.